Homes Under the Hammer.
This is Avery in Essex, about 15 miles east of central London and about 2 miles north of the River Thames. Avery has a bit of a rural vibe, but it's certainly not sleepy. I'm in a great location here. You've got a shopping centre close by, so a retail therapy hit's always on the cards. And London is a handy commute away with the proximity of the A13 and the M25. Now, the flat I'm here to see, it's in this building here. It's a studio flat with a guide price of £80,000 plus. It's leasehold, which means there's a ground rent attached, and that ground rent annually is, wait for it, 1 peppercorn. Yes, a peppercorn. I need to investigate.
Martel strides purposefully towards the entrance.
Well, I don't mean a literal peppercorn from your pepper grinder. It's a legal term, a metaphor for a small, negligible payment. Because in order to meet the legal requirements of a lease, a ground rent of some sort must be set. So in effect, that means there is no ground rent to pay and there's 92 years left on the lease. That's good news. Inside, first impressions, always the door, and could do with an upgrade. There's no handle there. You've got your tiny little hall area, and then off that hall you have a bathroom with the world's smallest bath. Maybe okay for me, I'm 5'3½". Actually, it's completely serviceable. It looks quite clean. Through to your reception area, and the windows look in good order. This is a proper studio flat, but where does your bed go? Hold on. Is this what I think it is? Look. Yes, it is, because it's coming the wrong way. It feels like the doors, it feels wrong. It feels like the doors are falling down. But it's meant to do this. It's meant... There we go. You've got your bed. With a bit of imagination, you can transform this space into a living room by day and bedroom by night. I think that's a quacking idea. Sorry, I couldn't resist. What'll we find in the rest of the flat? The kitchen's looking pretty tired. It could do with some new doors. You might be able to salvage the surfaces. If you have a budget, I'd get a brand new kitchen in here, but depends on that budget. Depends if you're renting it out. You don't necessarily need the wow factor. You just need it to be serviceable if you want to rent it out. Do you know what? Whoever's lived here has been as inventive as they can with what they have, the space that they have. So here we go, pretty rickety table, but it shows you what you can do. Just make that a bit more secure and maybe a bit higher too. You have your washing machine, which is tucked away. And you might think that people wouldn't accept this. Then again, it's handy for London. If you can't afford a flat in London, maybe this is your compromise. With the A13 taking you into East London, the M25 really close by, it could be a really good commuter's flat. But it definitely needs a facelift.
A textured ceiling.
If you were thinking of a furnished rental, let's face it, it wouldn't take much to furnish. I'd personally use a 3D planning tool or go low-tech with a piece of graph paper to figure out what size of furniture you should be buying. When you've done all that, it really will be like a
chair in a corner of the bed-sit room, and the wardrobe doors that hide a folding bed.
Now, with this flat, I've noticed there is no central heating. You've got double glazing, which is in good nick. It's pretty quiet up here, so that's a good sign. And also, it feels quite well insulated. It's not really a very warm day outside, and yet it's pretty toasty in here. I've spotted one electric fire, and although I normally say it's important to get in central heating, maybe you just don't need it here. Too radical? Underfloor heating might be worth exploring. Saves losing wall space to radiators.
September 2017.
We asked a local estate agent to take a gander at this studio flat, guided at £80,000 plus.
The property does need some updating, but it's got a perfect kitchen and bathroom for rental. Probably for resale, we might have to do a bit more work. But if it's purely for rental, it does show favourably.
If this property was to go on the rental market, how much could it make?
A rental value would be in the region of £600 per calendar month.
For argument's sake, if the buyer did want to sell, what price could they hope to achieve?
I would have thought the property would have achieved in the region of £110,000, possibly ask £115,000 and perhaps take an offer.
There's no two ways about it. This is a teeny tiny flat, but they do say all good things come in small packages. And because it is so titchy, hopefully you'll need a titchy budget to match and bring it up to scratch. And that ground rent of just one peppercorn, well, that's not to be sneezed at. Let's find out who agreed when it went under the hammer.
Just sort of northish London.
Unfortunately, we missed this lot being sold. However, it proved very popular on the day and exceeded the guide price to sell for £109,000. The successful bidder was Obi, a branch manager in the Postal Service. This was his first ever auction purchase, and I met him back at the property to find out more about it. Obi,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And I promise I won't come out with any Star Wars puns. That must be annoying.
I haven't heard anything today, so...
Today, okay.
Yeah.
What a wee flat, what a wee gem.
Absolutely. I mean, I was surprised. I never actually viewed the property before I bought it, so it was a pleasant surprise when I walked through the door.
So that golden hammer rule, you know, can leave you getting a few surprises, not least something like ground rent, which, you know, can really stretch you.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's one peppercorn.
I was absolutely over the moon when I heard that, so it's not many places you get that, so...
Isn't that brilliant?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just a wee throwback, a wee relic to times gone by.
Yeah.
What attracted you to this property, Obi?
Originally, I had 2 other properties in mind with the budget that I had, and unfortunately, they went over the hammer price that I was prepared to pay for them, and this was my third.
Was it a case of you missed out on 2 and you thought, I'm just going to go up a bit more, because you really wanted to go away with something?
I think underlining it, I wanted to purchase something that day. Just at the back of my mind, my mum kept coming into it and telling me, buy something that day.
So your mum had said to you, just get something?
Yeah, because she thought I might buy a really nice car with it, so I thought buy a house instead.
Oh, I see. So usually your mum's maybe the voice of caution, but she was urging you to go for it because it's a sounder investment.
Absolutely, yeah, so...
It's interesting because I speak to a lot of people on Hammer who just have to come that bit out of London to get something that's affordable. But you've still got the commuters that you can attract.
Absolutely, yeah. And for me, that was the key thing for an investment property, was to have double-edged sword on there to get both best of both worlds. So that really worked out for me.
Have you done any property developing in the past, Obi?
I previously owned 2 properties. I've never really physically got involved myself. I tend to have professionals coming in. But this is a project I probably want to get my hands dirty on there, and actually, because the reward factor is huge.
What exactly are you going to do?
I think for me, it's the place, realistically, there's not really much you can do in terms of making the space any bigger, possibly making it a bit livelier, a bit more homelier, and also just to modernise as much as we can within the budget.
Yeah. So are you still going to have the pull-down bed where it is just now?
I think that's a really, really strong feature of this flat, and for me, I think if I took that away, it would do injustice to the flat, so that would definitely stay.
Do you have any other plans to be clever with the space?
I've been speaking to quite a few people, trying to find out what you can do with small spaces and how we can utilise and maximise. So in that sense, I probably would get a bit of professional advice just to maximise the space.
Sounds like Obi has a clear idea of what he wants to achieve with this tiny property. Apart from hiring professional help to boost this living space, who else will be working on this flat?
My family are really, really close-knit, so they're going to probably give me a lot of help on this. My brother especially and my nephews, so it keeps the budget down.
What's your total budget?
I've budgeted £2,500 for the project, and that's taken into the free labour we spoke about earlier. If something does need to come from a professional service that needs doing, the electrics, I'm going to get that looked at by a professional.
That's the one thing, isn't it? You can get away with most things with friends and pals, but your electrics really need to be looked at by someone. What's your turnaround period?
Because I work Monday to Friday, and so I'm counting only weekends only. So we're looking for 4 weeks, so that will give me an 8-day turnaround.
Hold on. Did you just say 8 days?
8 days I have, yeah, in
So
weekend-wise.
You're thinking 4 weeks, 4 or 5
4
weeks.
weeks, and
but
it's just the weekends, yeah, because I'm working Monday to Friday, so it's going to be it will be a sort of a quick turnaround in that sense.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it will be done. Because it's such a small space, I'm hoping that each team, they've got a few people coming down and they can maximise the time that they have.
I think you have to save a wee bit of your budget to take them out for a slap-up meal to say thanks.
From a business point of view, I'll have to look at the balance before I can promise them that, yeah.
You are a hard taskmaster. What's your plans for this place once it's completed?
I'm just thinking potentially if I can get some rental income back within sort of a year or so, I could potentially add a second property to what I've done so far. So I'm looking at the bigger game, bigger long-term picture rather than sort of initial, because I think regardless what I do to the property, it will still be a studio flat.
So this is to rent out and hopefully build a portfolio?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the goal, yeah.
OK, good luck.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank you very much,
No,
Obi.
it's nice meeting you.
You too. Obi's got himself a pretty bijou flat here, to say the least, but they do say necessity is the mother of invention, and to transform this place, it's so small, he'll have to get pretty inventive. You can find out exactly how he gets on later in